Hey everybody, welcome back to Mary Bird's Backyard Garden. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mary.
And we're here again with some
One more
backyard
time.
garden action.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, but we're gonna go with it. And I got to be honest with you this time, Mary. I actually don't know what you got new for us plants, so I'm excited to hear it. But before we get to that, let's talk about what's new in the garden.
Well, honestly, Jeff, I think that we are planning to take a trip.
We are.
We are. And so really what's new in the garden is looking to see how you could support your garden while you're gone. And basically, you know, our garden is not going to change very much. There's so many strategies that people can use, but for us, we have our allotted watering time, and our in-ground sprinklers are going to run at their given time.
Yeah, just same as always.
Mm-hmm. And basically, that's going to have to be what it's going to be.
No, I think it's going to be good. And I think you bring up a good point because we have some of our kids that are going to be watching the house while we're gone.
But they are busy people.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. And it's kind of an unfair thing to say, hey, I know you're taking care of the house, but also can you go make sure everything's watered, do all this. So I think before we go, there's some of the plants on the porch that we hand water. I was going to move down so they can get some watering.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, so they can get watering by the irrigation that comes on. Or if it rains. But outside of that, I think the garden's going to do just fine.
I think it will.
Yeah. So I think we're going to be in good stead, as we say.
Last year, I think I may have mentioned this in a previous podcast, but we did go on vacation. And one area of our garden that we were making a pocket prairie really received no watering while we were gone. And we were gone a pretty fair amount of time, like 15 days or more. And when we came back, I was astonished at the beauty and growth that was happening in that area. And so I really do think that's going to happen this time too.
I think it's going to be fine. I mean, it's the dead of summer, but I think we're going to be fine. I'm really the only thing that I think generally doesn't get watered by the irrigation is the stuff on the porch. So we'll move those down, let them do what they do, and then hey, when we get back, we'll be surprised and see how everything holds up. But I think it's going to do just fine.
I think it will as well.
So, with that in mind, surprise me as well as everyone. What are we talking about today?
Well, I have two plants that are kind of highlighted in the garden right now that I wanted to tell everyone about.
Okay.
And the first one on that list is called the Pride of Barbados.
Oh, I like that one. That's a nice one.
We went to a nursery. I think it was the Natural Gardener. Oh, this has been maybe 4 years ago now. It was before that awful freeze that we had. So we got one plant that has yellow blooms. And it comes up every year, and it blooms from about now, which is July 1st area, all the way through the fall. And it's called the Mexican Bird of Paradise. And we also have two other that I put in that have done pretty well. They're starting to bloom right now, and they are called the Pride of Barbados. And so both of these plants are in the legume family, meaning they're related to peas.
That's crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, yeah.
But honestly, sometimes you can get the fragrance of a pea plant if you brush against them. At least that's what I think. But they are just champions. Wow, champions in our area. So close to us, there is a utility company that has a totally rock-covered border in the front of it. And every single year, I wait and wait and wait and drive by to see if their Pride of Barbados is going to come back again. because I don't think they water up there.
Oh, yeah, probably not.
And every year in my own garden, as well as the garden I'm watching at the utility company, it seems as though the plant is not going to make it through the winter. And so it is very slow to emerge after winter, but you do cut it down to the ground. And sure enough, we drove by the other day and it has a full set of blooms all the way across the plant.
So you cut them, you cut it all at the, I guess in the fall or winter, you cut it down?
In the winter before the spring growth season starts, because in our area, any of the above ground growth is dead from the frost, but the roots come back every year.
Okay.
If you go farther south, it will remain in full flower. It can flower all year round if you go far enough south.
Wow.
So, yeah. And now, this is a toughie. I'm going to see if I get the name right. The botanical name is the Caesalpinia pulchroma. Pulchroma.
Oh, boy. I don't know who named these things, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyways, it means very pretty.
Oh, okay.
That was the meaning of it. And it is actually the national flower of Barbados.
Oh, wow.
It's a native plant to South America and the Caribbean. And so, like I said, in our zone, it'll go to the ground, but you trim it back to get it to regrow. And it has flowers that can range from orange to red or yellow. And what happens is the darker color comes out in the middle of the flower, which are called racemes. Anyways, and then it'll have yellow edging to the petals. And what happens is they begin to bloom from the bottom. And so the raceme will bloom all the way out to the tip. So it's a very long bloom period, which is very nice, right?
Very nice.
Yeah. And so the South Florida Plant Guide actually lists a dark pink variety, which I am eager to look up. I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Wow.
It's very attractive to bees, hummingbirds, and butterflies.
Which we have all of the above.
We certainly do, which I was just out there today, and I don't know what type of butterfly it was, but it's black. It's maybe 3 inches, the wing, and it's got a bright blue spot on the wings.
Cool.
It's quite lovely. And so that was visiting our Pride of Barbados. And I just love it because that plant is unbelievably wonderful with no water. Really, it doesn't like a lot of water at all. And it really likes full sun to bloom. You can stick it more in the shade, but you won't get very many blooms.
Great.
That way. And
great for us.
It actually grows for us from the ground to 6 feet tall every year. Now, the Mexican bird of paradise, which is yellow, it actually grows, it can get up to maybe 12 feet tall. I have to cut that back pretty much every year. And this year, I've been so surprised at the amount of growth from the stem, from the bottom. It just looks so bushy, which is great.
Yeah, it's really good.
And the leaves are just beautiful. They are very delicate and lacy, and they move in the wind, which makes it just lovely.
Very poetic.
Very poetic, yes. And I totally recommend the Pride of Barbados.
Yes, it is very hardy. It's a hardy guy out there.
Yes. It's a Texas star plant, I believe.
Really? Okay. Well, yeah, I guess it makes sense with our weather and stuff here.
With our weather.
Yeah, and lack of rain and lots of sun.
That's right.
Nice. Okay.
So that brings us to my second plant.
Yes.
of the week.
Let me hear what you got.
Now, this little plant we put in when we very first put in the garden. And It is just a rock solid performer. It's really beautiful. And it is called the Purple Heart. It's a Tradescantia pallida.
Okay.
You could also have Tradescantia zebrina. So the zebrina, like you would think, has a stripe in the leaf. And both of them are just, wow, super performers.
Okay.
And so it's actually a species of spiderwort that is native to the eastern coast of Mexico. And I read where it was collected originally in 1907, very close to Ciudad Victoria in Mexico. So it's beautiful. It is such a deep purple, and sometimes it could be variegated like the zebrina with a really lovely pale pink flower. And the flowers are very unusual because they have 3 petals and they have a yellow stamen that comes out of them. So most of the spiderworts, if you look them up, they do have that 3-petal arrangement, which I think is very pretty.
So I got to ask, where is this in our garden?
Okay, if you go right in the back, and we talked about the Acoma crepe myrtles. Well, the one that's planted to the right of the desert willows, if you look down on the ground, it's a low-growing ground cover.
Okay.
Very purple. We have 2 of them located in our yard, and it's so easy to propagate. I mean, that's why we have 2.
Oh, okay.
If you just break off a stem, and let's say you're out there walking by it and some of the stems break off, you just shove them in a glass of water and they'll root, and then you plant them wherever you want them to grow.
That's pretty cool.
It's sort of described in some places as a succulent. I haven't been able to really say that that's what it is, but it sort of does grow that way.
And it's a perennial?
Oh, yes.
Perennial.
It will die to the ground. And sometimes in the summertime, it'll kind of go flat if it gets super dry. But the roots come back every year, very dependably. And in the summertime, if you give it water, when you notice it kind of getting that flat appearance, it bounces right back.
Okay.
And so, oh my goodness, I really love that plant. Now, we do have it where it will get morning sun and dappled shade throughout the rest of our day. And I think that's pretty good. It can get sunburn. So it's really recommended here in Austin by the city of Austin as a really good ground cover. And yes.
Nice.
It doesn't grow really much above a foot tall.
Okay. I know where you're at. Yeah. Now that you just said where it's at,
especially because when you're mowing.
When I'm mowing,
you'll snap it, right?
Oh, no, never. Never. Maybe.
Well, we're in 9A, zone 9A. So it's very similar to the Pride of Barbados. And but it just pops right back. And it actually grows sort of in a vine-like manner or similar to a trailing manner. Sometimes people grow it as a houseplant. And what happens is as it travels along the ground, it will root wherever the stem touches.
Oh, okay.
And if you don't want it to spread, you could chop those off and stick them in a container and grow them in your house.
Wow.
Put them in nice bright light so they'll keep their color. And the reason why it's really good as a houseplant is that sometimes when we use cleaning products or when we use candles and things like that, we have volatile organic compounds that are released in the air. And so this plant, the Purple Heart, will absorb those VOCs and help to clean your air indoors.
Oh, okay.
And so what else can I tell you about it?
Well,
I think it... Oh.
No, go ahead. No, very interesting. I'm waiting.
Well, I was thinking that it is very good in edging type position on the front of your garden border as a ground cover. And then what if you took those deep purple heart plants and contrasted them against a bright lime green sweet potato vine?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I think that would just look gorgeous. I might be trying that next year.
Yeah. I think we have the sweet potato. They're the ones that are growing like crazy out there, right?
Well, there are differences in the sweet potato vine.
Oh, okay.
The sweet potato vines that we're growing in the kitchen garden will produce an actual sweet potato.
Oh, okay.
But the ornamental variety, they don't really do that as readily. So,
all right. Learned. I didn't know that.
it would be more of an ornamental, I think.
All right. Well, hey, I gave it a shot. Nice.
Yeah. 2 heat tolerant and drought hardy plants.
Very
for your
good.
garden.
Very good. Very good. Hey, I was going to talk a little bit about, which I think you're well aware of. There's a lot of studies out there about how good gardening is for your mental and physical health.
Oh, I love this subject.
Yeah. You love all the science stuff, I know. Okay. But anyway, there's been a lot of studies that people who spend time in gardens and green spaces have improved mental and physical health. There was even a study in the United Kingdom that kind of noted that, and it cited the exposure to vitamin D, the social interaction found when people do it in community gardens. And the one thing we do here, our neighbors are really great. So it's not a community garden, obviously, but you get to kind of share ideas with them.
Yes.
And of course, physical labor. So it's very helpful that it does, and these are research findings they've had. They reduce depression, anxiety.
I love that.
Increases your quality of life, and your cognitive function. So isn't that? There's really a lot of stuff.
That.
Yeah, there's a lot, and you get out there a little bit more than I do, but a lot more than I do. But I mean, it's there's the findings. If you look at the medical findings, it helps people with dementia.
Wow.
And a lot of it has to do with dementia, depression, anxiety. I think just being able to get out into a green space.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So I'm going to count myself in that because I like to sit out on the porch and look at everything.
You do.
I'm going to take part of that from you.
It is inspiring.
Yeah. I think some of it too with gardening, is, the one thing, like, it's almost addictive when you start like sitting down pulling weeds, right?
Yes.
And I think the thing it does, it kind of just lets you mentally just, get away from, if you're worrying about stuff or thinking about other things, and you can just kind of mindlessly,
yes.
I like to listen to music, when I'm doing it, and I can just sit out there and the time just kind of flies. So, but that is definitely one thing they found in the studies.
I love that.
Yeah. Plus, you get to your science, you're getting all your vitamin D from the sun and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I congratulate you. This is a very good topic.
It is a very good topic, and there's been a lot of I think during the pandemic, people did a lot of different things.
Yes.
Gardening is one that actually really took off because it's something you can do by yourself. There were some other things I think that people did that may not have held, to be honest with you, once they started going back to work. But I think gardening is one that, when I'm reading is, people have continued to do it.
They really have.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the garden centers, I think, saw a really big explosion. And you and I go, and they're always crowded.
They are. So
that's it's really good. So, I think it's a good thing. Now the one, so I will tell you this. Here's my part of it.
Okay.
So the tasks like digging, weeding, or carrying heavy loads, such as bags of soil,
yes,
pots, or plants, can specifically strengthen the back, shoulders, arms, and legs.
Interesting.
So there you go.
Okay.
There you go. That's me. I'm the heavy guy. And of course, this year we've been eating it. So, it's healthier to eat. Obviously, it's going to be healthier to eat out of your garden if you can. And we've done some of that. I mean, you've eaten a lot of the tomatoes. We've eaten a lot of beans. We've talked about it several times. We've eaten a lot of beans. We have the okra, and our neighbor gave us some of their stuff. So,
yes,
yeah, I think it's a there's a lot of studies out there that are it's a positive thing just to get out, just
to get in the green space. Oh my goodness, you could just feel it, right? Mm-hmm. It just creates a feeling of well-being inside.
It does. One of the interesting things I was reading is that, you don't even have to do it hardcore. Even if you live in an apartment and you just have a garden on your porch, even that, just the act of getting up and going and watering it, even if it's 10, 15 minutes or whatever. I mean, that is beneficial to you. It's much better than sitting inside, all day. And with people working at home now, I worked at home.
You did
for quite a while, and you honestly, you get stuck in you wake up early, you work late, you're just sitting at the computer, and sometimes you just there were days I didn't even get outside. And I think so. It's good. The garden kind of gets you out. It kind of forces you, hey, I need to go water them, or I need to get up and do something. So
in our case, also, we have implemented lots of bird feeders and things like that. And so it's always calling to us to go out there and see what the birds are doing.
Right.
What's going on? What are the lizards doing?
And just even, just keeping track of the bird feeders and filling them and getting out there and doing that. And, one thing Mary likes to do is she likes to walk the garden, as she says. So we gotta walk the garden with our coffee in the morning. So that that works out good. But kudos to you, because you're out there all the time, a little more than I am. I
find it very, very interesting.
Yeah. I think you've done a good job of doing all that.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, one thing about our getting out in the garden and enjoying the space out there is that I would like to incorporate art. And I think that goes hand in hand with gardening. I mean, it
does.
You are creating your own painting, if you will, using flowers. And oh my goodness, when the flowers catch your eye, when you're looking out the window, it's just gorgeous. And so I did find a book that the title of it is Creative Garden Photography. And I know you are very interested in photography.
I do like photography. So that is definitely up my alley here.
And you're very good at it. And this was written by Harold Davis. And if you want to go and find this book, I think it was published by Rocky Nook, perhaps. And it is a book that was published in 2020, the first edition. Good. So it's pretty new release. And he goes through so many different aspects of using your camera in your garden. How to work with your camera, how to work with your garden, how to set up your shot. And I found one activity in this book that I'm very eager to learn how to do, and that is how to use a light box. And you put your floral material or your leaves or roots or whatever you want to put on here, and you will photograph on top of your light box.
Oh, okay.
And so that's the activity I'm most looking forward to learning how to do.
Nice.
And then, so yes, this looks like a very intriguing.
It does. It does look good. And I do like photography. And now that our stuff is, our stuff, I'm going to call it our stuff, our garden has grown up, there's a lot of opportunities to go out there. And I like macro photography. So, we've been out there a few times where I've tried to catch, close-ups of bees or, even those little caterpillars or the flowers themselves.
Yes.
Definitely need to do it a little bit more. Like I said, sometimes I get a little computer bound myself, but
Well,
we all do.
we all
I mean,
do.
that's just life. But it's nice that it's out there. It's just in the backyard. We don't have to get in a car and drive an hour. Everything really, in reality, is sitting right outside our back door. So when you have a garden like that, just kind of know there's other things you can do. It can lead you to other things. If you like photography, if you like art, you can, draw, paint, do that.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff to do out there. And that's great. I'll have to look at that book. I hadn't seen that one before. Even though, you probably had it for a little bit, but I just don't remember that one.
Yeah, I think that we bought it and then we got busy and it kind of fell by the wayside, but I remembered it and I really would like to hop back in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it looks like a great book. So if you guys get a chance to check that out, I would recommend it.
The title is Creative Garden Photography.
Nice. And it's got a beautiful cover on it. Yeah, it really does a really cool sunflowers and stuff. Okay. What else you got?
Well, Jeffrey, I'm very excited about our trip.
Yes, we are going to be tripping. I like it.
We are. We're going to be talking about gardens in the places that we're going. We have plans to visit at least one garden. We have specific plans to visit the Edinburgh Botanical Garden.
Yes.
And I am beyond excited to go. That is really a world-renowned gardening.
Yeah.
Where they do a lot of research and things like that. And so the Edinburgh Horticultural Garden, I can't remember what it's called, but we're definitely going there.
Okay.
And so we're going to be talking about what we see.
Yeah, and we'll be in a totally different climate, totally different atmosphere. So it's going to be interesting to see what some of the folks over in Ireland, Scotland, those areas, what their gardens look like.
Yeah, what the landscape is like.
Yeah, kind of what that, because, I know even here up in the north, we have relatives in the Northeast, they can grow some pretty cool stuff that we can't grow, obviously, because of the climate. But they have a much shorter period too. So kind of the trade-off, that's a trade-off.
So when you get ready to do recipes, in a lot of cases, the recipes sometimes call for all the ingredients. Like if you were going to do it fresh from the garden, they would all be grown at once. And that is very similar to how it happens in the Northeast. Their growth season is compacted compared to ours, and all of their ingredients come ripe at the same time, whereas ours really don't. And so that is going to be interesting to see the gardens over there, see what their kitchen gardens, how do they manage it?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Never thought about that. But yeah, their growing season is pretty much, what it is. And ours is very much extended. We can still grow here in the winter because it honestly does not.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it doesn't get that cold.
No.
So, okay, well, cool. So we're looking forward to that. And we will definitely come back here to the podcast and
we're going to give it a try.
We'll let you guys know.
This will be very exciting.
What we see. And
it'll be a new adventure. We don't know. We are going to be learning how you make a podcast when you're away from home.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure that out too. But we'll get it all figured out and get that out to you guys. And
very nice.
Yeah,
I look forward to it.
But stick with us. We're still doing them weekly. So our goal and our plan is to keep updating weekly and keep moving along. And as I told you guys before, we appreciate everyone sticking with us
so much. Happy gardening, everyone.
Happy gardening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.